Welcome back to the Blockchain African Show. I'm super excited to be with you again today, Monday. As always, we meet 1:30 to 2. And if you're new on the show, my name is Abiodun Victoria, and this is the Blockchain African Show, where we talk about blockchain technology itself. We get you educated so you can make good decisions about how to incorporate blockchain into your business, or maybe you can decide to start a career in blockchain. Anything you think of in terms of the space, this is the show where we'll make sure we update your knowledge and we get you ready. And today's episode is one I'm super excited about for so many reasons. One, it's a big progress in terms of blockchain adoption in Nigeria, which I believe we have very huge impact in Africa. But more than that, it's also a special day in the blockchain space because today we celebrate blockchain growth. I know when we say blockchain growth, we are talking of a Bitcoin Pizza Day. The Bitcoin Pizza Day is so special in this space for so many reasons. First is the first real world, or let me say the first recorded real world transaction using Bitcoin. If you've never heard of the Bitcoin Pizza Day, you're in luck because I'm about to educate you. So, the Bitcoin Pizza Day is a day where we celebrate the first transaction. We have a Bitcoin enthusiast named Laszlo. I would have pronounced the surname, but I have no plans on murdering anybody's name. But Laszlo is easier to remember. So we have the Bitcoin enthusiast named Laszlo, who on this day, about 13 years ago, bought two pizza for 10,000 BTC. I promise you, when you think about the number, it's mind blowing. But beyond the number, what is fascinating is how far we've come. This was about 13 years ago, and we could record 10,000 BTC purchasing about two pizza. And look at today, that's worth almost $600 million. How crazy is that? So we've come a long way. And this also shows there is so much more to come because we are still early in. And if in 13 years we are where we are right now, you can only imagine now that we are seeing the most beautiful use case of the technology. The future is so bright. So now that you understand what Bitcoin Pizza Day is all about, I'll be introducing you to today's topic. So today I want to talk to you about the blockchain policy that has been released. I think it came out third of this month, and I really wanted to take my time to talk about it because first, I know some of you have never opened that book. It's a 32-page document, which is quite light read. But beyond that, the document is a major step towards adoption in Nigeria. And genuinely, I believe is going to have a huge impact in Africa. First, I think that should be around 2021 July. Nigeria moved from um, being almost nothing being said about blockchain, about crypto, to placing a very heavy ban on crypto. I remember there was so much uproar on social media with people talking about some people saying they were almost arrested, CBN banning accounts or banks, just putting, what do they call it, bans on accounts trading crypto. And we've moved from there to currently having a policy that actually understands blockchain technology and its impact. For me, it's so exciting because that's basically what we talk about on the show. I remember last week I was talking so much about the impact of education and how important it is for you to understand what blockchain is, the features, what it can do, because that's the only way you can now translate these features into your everyday business. And this policy really takes care of some of these things. The policy was released under, I think, the Federal Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, that is led by Issa Pantami. And it really covers the major aspects of blockchain technology, even without focusing on cryptocurrency. Because there is a need to understand that blockchain technology is bigger than even crypto, which is a use case of the technology. And next week, we are going to talk extensively about the potential impact and a lot of that in general. I'm going to have a guest on board who understands these things in depth, and we're going to just have really nice conversation. You should make sure to tune in. So today I'm going to, because I had to like write down the mission of the policy, its vision, what their plans are, just to share with you because some of you have probably never checked it out. So, according to the 32-page document, which is, you should actually open it because it's very light read and very scanty, just go straight to the point and go straight to the point generally. So, the vision of the policy, according to the document, says the policy is to create a blockchain powered economy that supports secure transaction, data sharing, and value exchange between people, businesses, and government, thereby enhancing innovation, trust, growth, and prosperity for all. If this is not your first time tuning into this show, you would clearly remember that these are some of the things we mentioned at the introduction of the show. Because the features of the technology itself empowers these things to come to fruition. Because when there's transparency, I think we talked a lot about trust and transparency in the first episode, and that is something even the government is looking to capitalize on. And when they talked about the mission is to encourage the adoption. See, when I read this document and I got to this part, you needed to see me brimming with joy because when the government is at the forefront of adoption, we know there is major steps to be taken. And because even in the document, they mentioned how much they're willing to support Starling. I will get to that, but let me not jump. So the mission says we encourage the use, adoption, and integration. How powerful is that? Of blockchain technology in the various sectors. On this show in particular, we talk so much about how blockchain can be incorporated across all walks of life, from health to finance to real estate to supply chain to transaction management, almost anything you can think of with your head, any sector, blockchain can be incorporated. And in the government's mission, which is clearly stated here, it says that we encourage the use, adoption, and integration of blockchain in the various sectors of Nigeria's digital economy in order to create prosperity, efficiency, innovation, transparency, security, and trust. That is the government understanding the importance. I have to lay emphasis on this. There is no better time as a Nigerian, as an African, to pay attention to blockchain technology than now. A lot of people make mistake that blockchain technology is when cryptocurrency is at its peak. That's when I want to get. Because see, I think in 2021 we had crazy numbers, and the number of times people reached out to me, "Oh, what kind should I buy? I'm looking to invest in crypto," is uncountable. I've not gotten so much of those messages this year. Why? Because people think, crypto is dead, crypto is not the in thing. But this is the time to pay attention. This is the time to actually look, what can my business benefit from this technology? How can I leverage on this to do something for my business? How can my clients, how can I start a career? Because not just for business owners, even the government, when I was going through the document, because they have two major focus areas actually for incorporating blockchain. It says one, talent development, and that's where career comes in. I think we talk about it a lot, how you don't have to build a business. You may want to work in blockchain. I work in blockchain. I have friends who work in blockchain. Same way I have friends who have businesses building on the technology. And the government recognizes it. So they have two major aspects, which is talent development and innovation. When you talk of talent development, we talk of you, me, investing in knowledge. The government is looking to invest in education. See, when I saw these things, I was, oh my God, you needed to see me. I was brimming with so much joy because these are the things I talk about. These are the things I'm constantly repeating. The impact of education in driving innovation, in driving talent growth. and they were all outlined in the documents. It talks about ways they plan on adopting blockchain itself, financial services, which is already, because as much as nothing has really majorly been said about the crypto ban, because since the what's it called, since the policy came out, there has been a whole lot of questions around, oh, what's going to happen to the crypto ban? Will the ban be lifted? There's so many questions. Although there has not been a very fine definition or a fine line to, oh, this is exactly what the future will be in terms of crypto. But the government itself, stated in the document, talks about how they plan on putting regulatory measures into leveraging the features of blockchain technology to enjoying the services that the finance sector can benefit from the structure, from fast payment to seamless timing, because it even recognizes the fact that a lot of young people already leverage on this technology. And the government made mention of their plans on supporting fintechs, supporting structures, building innovations, and it's just pretty much so amazing. There's no better time, even for businesses struggling or looking for ways to incorporate or expose themselves to the government than now. So we'll go on a short break. Then when we come back, I'll continue talking on the government's adoption strategies. So welcome back on the show. So I started out talking about the Bitcoin Pizza Day, which is just a form of education for you to understand what today is. And next year, hopefully, you'll be the one educating someone else. And also, we talked about the Nigerian blockchain policy released under the Federal Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, led by Issa Pantami. And that's what we're still talking about: the mission, the vision, the policy, the focus area, which is innovation and talent development, the adoption key areas, and the strategies for adoption the government is looking towards. And I also mentioned the fact that next week we'll be talking extensively on the impact of this policy, because this week I'm just exposing you to the policy, because most of you, all you know about the policy are the short things you saw on social media. And this show is to help you be highly informed, educated, and just to bring you up to date on blockchain technology and how you can incorporate it into your business, which is what the government is already almost helping you to get started with. So I talked about the financial inclusion, and aside from the financial inclusion, the government also has so many areas they are looking to drive adoption. We saw in terms of businesses, there's so many aspects the innovation detailed. We saw businesses, promotion of blockchain, asset tokenization, document authentication, even by government parastatals. Because I think it was the first episode where I made the analogy of documents, backdating, and how the immutability feature of the blockchain technology removes these things, document forgery. There's so many aspects, because you see people who never, okay, I think we've had a case where the finance minister forged the NYC certificate. That is something, if the certificate was given on blockchain, it's almost impossible to do. And improve transparency. I think we've talked about the electoral process before. So there are so many aspects that even the government is now looking to leverage on blockchain technology to expand into. And I also have some of it written down, because the government also talked about the benefits for the adoption for the nation and also for individuals. It went from improved transparency and accountability to increased efficiency, enhanced security, financial inclusion, and job creation. And if you are really in the Nigeria economy, you know that these are things that we need as a nation. And it goes beyond Nigeria, because I try to also always equate these things. We all know the situation across Africa. And in a nation like Nigeria, embracing a policy like this, not even embracing, creating a policy that empowers innovation on the blockchain ecosystem is so major. It's time for you as a business owner to see how can, because if the government is looking into it, you have no excuse not to look into it. This is the time you need to pay attention. This is the time you need to ask questions. This is the time you need to wonder, okay, as a business, how can I leverage on this technology? If the government is looking to incorporate it into even the government arms, then you ask yourself, as a private business owner, how can I key into this thing? And it's so beautiful because when I was going through the document, you can really tell that the government is also looking to really invest in projects doing amazing things on the blockchain technology. Because it talked so much about investing in innovation and in talent. So that means even as an individual, you don't want to build a business, this is the time to look into blockchain, to understand it and to see ways in which you can build a career around it. It says there's so many aspects of this I made mention of. And it talks about providing funds for the bodies. I think I talked about that briefly under the innovation sector. The government is talking so much about funding. And if you, I don't want to say if you're looking for funding because it's not a one-way street, but definitely the blockchain sector is somewhere you need to look into immediately. And then it also talked about, in terms of corporate and government, what's it called, integration, there are different areas that were listed. We have the identity management. It talks about land registration and record system, supply chain management. And if you've tuned into this show, I think last week when I was talking about blockchain education, hello everyone, I'm super excited to be doing this. My name is Abiodun Victoria and I'm introducing the Blockchain African show coming up on CoinNews Extra every Monday 1:30 to 2 o'clock. The show is going to be so packed, educational, ideas. We'll be bringing on board highly knowledgeable people in the industry with years of experience. We'll talk about innovation. I mentioned so I think there's a way they built. I'm not even sure where you stopped hearing me, but I think I'm just going to recap a bit because I'm not sure. So I made mention of the government's ways they are looking to incorporate blockchain for themselves, and in the document they talked about the identity management, and I made mention of the fact that in terms of identity management, I've spoken about DIDs before, but DID is like the wave of the moment in the blockchain space. There's so much research, there's so much talks going on about DIDs. In case you don't know what DIDs are, the DIDs are simply digital identification and or digital identity. So they are basically digital representation of your ID card, but even way cooler because this time you don't need to put in all your details because most times, let's assume you want to go on a site that requires you to be 18. All that is needed is genuinely you proving you're 18. You don't need to enter your full name, your email address, your full address, and so many of those details that you mostly have to enter, but that is a whole different topic. Maybe I'll create a section where I educate you on DIDs. Government is looking to land registration, record system, supply chain management, which are areas I've even spoken on this show. The blockchain space, the blockchain itself is so wide that there is almost no business or no walk of life you cannot incorporate the features of this technology to create something amazing out of it. So in terms there, let me try to round up because at the end of the document, then it talks about the expected outcome. So one of the major goal of this policy is to produce high quality blockchain talent. The country is looking to really invest in talent, invest in blockchain education, so that we can have a very high number of people who are highly knowledgeable about this. I think I talked about it last week how there is little you can do with no knowledge. When you know so much about the space, then you can, aside from work in the space, you can build innovations. And also the goal of the project for the policy is also to bring about so much growth to the blockchain ecosystem. And at the end of the day, all this drives adoption, which is the end goal of all of this, from the market woman down there to the university students to the professional to the working professional. The goal is adoption. And adoption can come in different forms. So with the government at the forefront of it, this is the time to pay attention. Um, Today is just to educate you about the policy itself and also to give you a nudge to open it because it's such a short document, but it exposes you, it gives you an idea of what is to come. Because if the government can have something as detailed as that about an innovation, then you need to be looking at it. You need to be listening. You need to be making research on how you can benefit from it, how your business, how you can make a career out of it. This is the time. So next week, I'll be bringing someone very special, someone very knowledgeable, and we'll be talking about this innovation, the impact in Nigeria, in Africa, and what everyone should be looking out for, or how individuals can leverage on this technology. Yeah, so it's been an amazing, almost in 3 minutes, talking to you about blockchain again, educating you in my little way, and also making sure that you stay updated on the developments in Nigeria, in Africa, and making sure that you are conscious of the technology and how to build on it for growth of the ecosystem, for prosperity, and for individual growth and of the economy in general. Because if the government repeatedly talks about prosperity, talks about innovation in the same space, it's high time you also look into it as a person. So I'll be seeing you next week again. Same time. We have Mondays 1:30 to 2 on Coin News Extra and also live streamed on YouTube, um, LinkedIn, yes, and Twitter. And you can also ask questions. I think last week we had some questions, but I didn't come with them. But you can drop your questions, and subsequently, I'm going to make sure that I can answer these questions. So we're putting structures in place to make sure it gets better, it gets more educative, it gets more enlightening, and it's just the beginning. Just like 13 years ago, you could buy 10,000, well, you could buy two pizza for 10,000 BCC. The show is still at the early stage, and in no time, you are going to be learning so much more, and you are going to look back and say, wow, this was where we started from. So stay with us, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you for staying with me, and thank you for listening to me. Goodbye. See you next week.